Good evening and welcome, guys. It is now 5 minutes after 6 o'clock. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up in the chat. Otherwise, I know I need to sort out my audio before we get started. All right, there is a thumbs up. Okay. There's two of them, so I guess we can all hear each other loud and clear. All right, thank you so much for that, guys. We are going to get started with today's session. And in today's session, we will be looking at differential calculus. So if you know of your friends or classmates that need to be here, please do share the link with them and tell them that the session has started. We are going to try and do quite a lot of questions together. I have prepared for you guys some questions to attempt by yourselves, but we'll still mark them together as well. Please make sure that you do have pen, lots of paper, and your calculator. I will rely on you guys to give me some of the calculator answers, okay? And then without further ado, let me share my screen so that you guys can see as I am writing. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, my screen share should be popping up any second from now. Okay, so if you can see my screen, please give a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, perfect. So my screen is sharing. All right, cool stuff. So let's get started with calculus. I don't want to waste any time because we do have like a lot of questions to go through together. And remember, if you have questions for me, I don't think the Q&A is active. I apologize if it is active, but I don't see active on my side. But don't worry, you can still use the chat to ask some of your questions. And I think you are still able to raise your hand to ask certain questions, and then we'll help you to unmute so that you can talk to me and communicate some of the questions that you might have. And if you want me to repeat, please be specific with which portion of the question or which part of the question you'd like me to repeat. Don't just say, sir, repeat. You have to be very specific. Sir, please repeat line 3, or sir, I don't understand this and that. All right. And then also refrain from annotating from the screen because it does cause quite a distraction. If you do it a number of times, we will definitely remove you from the session. I must make it very clear. All right, cool stuff. I think we're all together there. Then we can definitely get started. All right, the first thing that I want us to look at would be, okay, let's change this to a lighter screen. Okay, just bear with me for a second. I want these changes to be in effect. So I need to stop sharing the screen and then quickly fix this on my side. I apologize for that. All right. Okay. Coming back to sharing the screen. Okay, the screen share is going to pop up. Just a second. Thank you so much for your patience. And then a thumbs up once more if you can see my screen. There we go. Perfect. All right, cool stuff. So the first thing that I wanted us to look at is factorizing third-degree polynomials, right? I know that a number of people struggle with this, so I'm going to try my level best to explain it as best as I possibly can. And I want you guys to be with me every step of the way, all right? Now, this is where you can use either the synthetic division, long division, or the K method. Some people refer to the K method as inspection. So whichever one you refer or whichever one you prefer, as long as you're getting the right answer or the same answer as me, that's perfectly fine. I think personally the easiest one for me is the K method, and that's the one that I'm going to show you guys. All right. All right, cool stuff. Now, let's check here. Which one, right? Sorry, looking at 1A, right? What would be the factor? How do we find the factor? Right? We rely on our calculators, right? And I'm pretty sure you guys mostly have Casio calculators, right? And then you rely on what? On the table in order for you to get a function. So I'm going to rely on you guys to give me one factor, not a function, but one factor of 1A, just so I know that you guys know how to use your calculators to find the factors. Anyone with a factor, please share it in the chat. Okay, so we got 4 and we got 6. Okay, I'll take the first one that was there, which was 4. All right, so if x is equal to 4, it means that x minus 4 is what? Is a factor. Hope everyone is with me there. Now, check what I'm going to do. It means that I have to divide a with x minus 4 because we said that x is equal to 4, right? Now, it means that I can do this. I can say x minus 4. Then I have something else here. Right? Even if you didn't use block brackets or square brackets or hard brackets, that's perfectly fine. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to say first divided by first. Right, so what is 3x to the power of 3 divided by x? That's going to give us 2x squared. So say this is, sorry, not 2x squared, but 3x squared. My mistake there. Now, this is the K method. The trick is to always add kx in the middle. All right? Then what we want to do next is divide last with last. So what is positive 48 divided by negative 4? That must give you negative 12. Hope everyone is with me there. I'm still going to do another one as an example, and then I'll give you guys one to try by yourselves. But make sure that you're with me every step of the way. Okay, then moving on. What we want to do next is we want to multiply out. And what we're going to multiply out will be these two and these two, right? Simply because we want to get to x squared. So if I said negative 4 multiplied by, excuse me, sorry about that. I don't know why my screen is jumping. If I said negative 4 multiplied by 3x squared, I'm going to get negative 12x squared. Then if I say x multiplied by kx, I'm going to get positive kx squared. Right? Now that I have those, I can say these two things are equal to the x squared in the original, which is what? Negative 28x squared. Why? Simply because I have a 2 there and a 2 there. Those things must be equal to each other. They must be equal to the right-hand side. The 2 on the left must be equal to the right-hand side. Then it's just a matter of solving for k. So kx squared is equal to what? Negative 16x squared, which means that k is actually how much? Negative 16, because we divided both sides by x squared. Right? Now, it means that what we have is this x minus 4, and then in our block brackets, we have 3x squared minus 16x. We replaced k with this, remember? Because we solved for k minus 12. Now it's just a matter of factorizing. Right? Now that shouldn't be difficult at all because we're going to rely on what? On the quadratic formula if you are not too sure how to factorize that. Are we all together there? Then we know that this is going to give us 3x. Okay, there we go. 3x. And then x there. And then I want a 12, so I can say minus 6 there and a positive 2 here. That should work. And just like that, if they wanted us to solve for x or find the 3 x-intercepts of this cubic, we would simply say x is equal to 4 or x equals to 3 over 2 or x equals to positive 6. Negative, yeah? Negative. And that's how you solve such a question. All right, no questions in the chat? Okay, so there are questions. How can you quickly get a factor without using trial and error? Okay, so we discussed that to get to this factor, you need to rely on your Casio calculator. We're going to do it together here. I don't have a calculator with me, but I think I can remember the steps. So to find this factor, what you need to do is you need to go to mode on your calculator. Oh, sorry. Thank you for that correction. It's 2 over 3, not 3 over 2. Thank you for that correction. It's a silly mistake on my side because I'm dividing by 3. So this is the corrected one. It's 2 over 3, negative, not negative 3 over 2. Okay, now coming to B. Make sure that you're with me every step of the way. You press mode on your calculator. After pressing mode on your calculator, you should be getting, I think, number 3. On most calculators, option number 3 would be table. Right. Now, after pressing table, it's going to prompt you for f of x. F of x would simply be this. You plug this into the calculator exactly like it is. To press x, you need to press the alpha button, and there is an x on your calculator. You plug that in exactly like it is. Once you've plugged it in, it's just that I unfortunately don't have a calculator to bring it on the screen. Once you have plugged it in, you press equals to. If it prompts you for g of x, you press equals to again. Then it'll prompt you for a start. Your start must be -5. Then press equals to. It'll say end, and then you say 5. The reason we use -5 and 5 is that the Department of Education will always give you at least one intercept in that domain, or in that range of x is -5 all the way until +5. Okay, now it'll give you a table, and then you check which x value gives you f of x as 0 on that table. Right? Otherwise, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, please do check our TikTok video. If you scroll down, you will see there's a video that I made showing you guys step by step. I actually put a calculator on the screen and I did it for you guys. Please make sure that you do watch that video. It's very short. It's less than 5 minutes, and I do explain it thoroughly so. Okay, then let's answer some of the questions there. Unfortunately, you would lose marks because they want you to show all your working out, and they want to see that you do know how to actually factorize polynomials. Okay, so we're all getting, well, okay, there's 2 and then there's 5, right? There might be more than 1, right? But you can only give us 1, and then we still need to see all your working out, right? So since the 2 is the one that came first, I'm going to use that 2, all right? So I'll say that x minus 2 is a factor. So x minus 2 is a factor, right? Now that we're all happy with that, we can continue. So if x minus 4 is a factor, then it means that we are now going to divide, right? 2x to the power of 3 divided by x. So remember, first divide by first, then last divide by last. Let me write those arrows or draw those arrows so you can see. So we have x minus 2, and then we're going to have our hard bracket there. Come on. Sorry about that. Try not to rest my arm there or my palm there. This is going to give us 2x squared. What do we do? This is the k method. So we always say plus kx. Then last divided by last. So negative 30 divided by negative 2. That'll give you positive 15. All right. Now, let's multiply back so that we get x squared. So this multiply by that, and then these two. It's very easy to memorize these steps. Minus 4x squared plus kx squared. This must be equal to how much? This must be equal to negative 17x squared. Now, this will be kx squared is equal to negative 14x squared. Because we took the 4 over to the other side. 13, my mistake, 13. Okay, let me focus so I don't make any silly mistakes. Now, k would simply be negative 13. Now that we have our k, I'm going to substitute it back. So what I have is x minus 2, 2x squared minus 13x plus 15. Now we factorize that. Right, factorizing this, I know I'm going to have 2x, and then I'm going to have an x. Now I have negative and positive, so I'm going to need a negative, and a negative. And then I need a 15 and a 13. So what I'm going to try is, I'm hoping that this works. I'm going to maybe start with a 5 there and put a 3 there. Right? If you are not too sure the quadratic formula is there for you, please do not waste time trying to figure this thing out. They will not penalize you for the quadratic formula. Right? As I explained in the beginning, that you can use synthetic division and long division. Right? Then solving this, x is equal to 2, or x is equal to 3 over 2 this time, or x is equal to positive 5. All right, now let's quickly recap. What did we do? We found the factor using calculator. Right, we used our calculator to find the factor, and then we divided what they gave us by this factor. And what do we do? How do we divide? We take the first, we divide it by the first. So 2x to the power of 3 divided by x, that gives you 2x squared. And then negative 30 divided by the last, which is negative 2, that gave you 15. In the middle, we always add kx because that's the k method. Right, now what's next? We multiply out such that we have an x squared. And these are the only two that will always give you x squared. If you're not too sure, you can literally multiply everything out. Multiply that trinomial with this binomial, and you'll see that these two are the only ones that have an x squared. Now this must be equal to the x squared that we started with. And which one is that? It's this part. That's where we got the negative 17x squared from. Then I took the negative 4 over to the other side. It became positive. Then I had kx squared is equal to negative 13x squared. Then we divided throughout by x squared. And then k is equal to negative 13. And then from there, we substituted back to find what k, we substituted back the k value that we found so that we can factorize and solve for x finally. Now you can quickly take a screenshot, but the notes will be made available to you guys on the WhatsApp channel. If you're not part of the WhatsApp channel, the links and the information to join that channel will be posted in the chat. Just stay tuned. Just keep checking the chat there, and you will see some information about the WhatsApp channel. That's where all the notes are posted. Okay, we're done with that screenshot. Now let's quickly move on. Now I'm going to let you guys attempt E. So now you guys are attempting E. I'll give you guys, let me be generous and give you maybe 3 minutes. It's already 26 minutes and a few seconds after 6. So I'll give you until 18:30 and then we mark together. You can refer back to the notes that you guys have on your side. And we're going to mark shortly. Please excuse the silence. Just letting you guys attempt the question. Make sure that you do attempt these questions. Right, you can use any method that you're comfortable with. You're not forced to use the K method, the synthetic division, or long division, whichever one you find is the easiest. Okay, you have a minute and a few seconds left. For the sake of time, I will not be doing long division. I have done it on our TikTok. We need to move on to other things as well. There is still application of calculus that we need to spend quite some time doing. Okay, just a minute left and then we mark E. Okay, just a few seconds and then we mark. Okay, perfect. It's now 6:30. Let's quickly look at how we need to go about this. Okay, so let's find the factor on our calculator. So I'm pretty sure x plus 5 is a factor. I'm hoping we all got x plus 5 is a factor. Now, if x plus 5 is a factor, then it means we can say x plus 5, and then here our block brackets. First divided by first is going to be x squared. And then what? Plus kx. Then last divided by last, that's going to be how much? That's going to be 25. So that's going to be plus 25. Now, multiply for us to get our k. Those two multiplied by each other. So we're going to get 5x squared plus what? Plus kx squared is equal to how much? Is equal to the x squared that we started with, which is going to be this 15x squared. So kx squared is equal to how much? 10x squared, which means that k is equal to 10. Now, going back to our equation, we have x plus 5, x squared plus 10x plus 25. Then it's just a matter of factorizing. So we have x plus 5. Quadratic formula, if you're not comfortable with factorizing, I cannot stress this enough. Now's not the time for you to be checking your factorizing skills. X plus plus. How do I get 25? It's 25 times 1 and 5 times 5. And then 5 plus 5 will give me 10. And that is how we get the answer to that one. Okay. Now, what I want us to do is to try and sketch this graph. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can show you guys what the graph is going to look like. You're going to see it on your screens now. Just a second. The screen share is coming up in a second. We're just going to bring up a graphing calculator for you to see. There we go. So let's say y is equal to the equation that they gave us was x to the power of 3 I want more, just bear with me for a second. Okay, let me rather do this x to the power of 3, then plus 15x squared. Not that, 15x squared, and then plus 75x, and then plus how much? Plus 125. That is what the graph looks like. It's like one piece of the TED graph. I'm pretty sure we can all see the green graph on our screens. Right. Now moving on. Okay, let's address some of the chats. Okay. The 15x squared was what we started with in the original. That's what they gave us. So what I said is we want to get to 15x squared. So it means that the two things added to each other, these two things here, they must give you 15x squared, right? So in this case, it means that the x being 5 is a turning point. It's an intercept. It is also a point of inflection. Okay. If there are two factors on a calculator, which one do you take? You take whichever one you want to use. Okay. If you're taking a screenshot, now's the time to do so, and then we move on to derivatives. Like I said, guys, please do not change now. If you're comfortable with the K method, use that. If you are doing synthetic, please do not change now. Right, cool. Moving on. Now, derivatives from first principles. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this before, this formula. Luckily, you guys do not have to know where it comes from, but I'll still show you how we came about this formula. It's actually pretty easy. It's not confusing at all. So what we did is we considered a function. Maybe let me say a function like that. Right. Now, remember that any point, okay, let me say a point here. If this is the x coordinate of x, it means that the y value will be how much? Will simply be f of x. Are we together? That's the starting point. The x value is x, and the y value, we take that x value, we substitute it into f. You guys are comfortable with this. You've been doing this quite a number of times. Now, what we want to do is we want to say that the distance, so let me do this. The horizontal distance is h. The horizontal distance between these two x values is h. Meaning that from me to get to this one here, I have to say the x value is x plus h, because this part is x, it's h steps away. H steps away from x. Now, what would be f of x? What would be the y value? It would be f of x plus h. I hope we're together there. Then all we did is we tried to find the gradient. So m, right? Let me just say this is AB. Why not? M of AB is equal to what? Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Are we together there? Then I will say this Y2 obviously would be f of x plus h minus f of x. And then x2 would be x plus h, and then x1 would simply be x. Now check what's going to happen. On top, there's nothing we can do so far. Still f of x plus h minus f of x. Now, can you see that these two x's are going to subtract each other out? What are we left with? With an h. Now, this looks like something. It's here. All right. Now, what we did is because we don't want the distance to be this much, this distance, h. We're going to limit it or take the limit as h approaches 0 so that we are dealing with points that are very, very, very close to each other. Right? They're so close to each other that we can actually ignore h. Right? That's when we say, take the limit as h approaches 0 so that these points are very close to each other. Of what? Of the very same thing that we're dealing with over h. Now that gives you the derivative. And that's where the formula comes from. But luckily, you do not even have to prove or memorize it. It's there on the formula sheet, guaranteed. Okay. If you'd like to take a screenshot for the fun of it, you're more than welcome to do so. And then we move on. All right, cool stuff. Let's quickly move on then. I'll give you guys one to try, but I'm going to do this one first. Now, it says determine f prime of x from first principles if f of x is equal to 9 minus x squared. Right. Now, the first thing that I do, right, so whenever I teach this topic, I actually start with what? I don't start with first principles. I start with what? With the rules. Which rules? The rules are the easy ones. So, for example, if we were to differentiate something like this, we know that the rules say we just multiply. So we bring the 3 down and multiply it with the coefficient of x, and then subtract 1 from the power, so that we have 30x squared. These are the differentiation rules, and then the one that they gave us in this question, that is first principles. Okay, now the reason we do that is so that you guys can immediately check what your answer needs to be. So looking at this, we can tell that our answer has to be how much? It has to be minus 2x. Now, if we don't get to minus 2x, then we know we're wrong somewhere. Okay, now let's check. So f prime of x is equal to what? Is equal to the limit. Oh, come on. As h approaches 0, f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. If you want to find f of x plus h on the side and then bring it back, perfectly fine. Don't change now. If that's what you've been doing all along, stick on to that. Now, do not drop the limit. The moment you drop this guy, that's the moment you drop or give away a mark. They penalize you if you drop it prematurely. This is h. Now, this is going to be how much? 9 minus x plus h. But then what? It was squared. And then minus, be careful to write this in brackets. If you don't write it in brackets, it's not going to work out. And then you're going to be surprised. Why is it not working out? 9 minus x squared. Because this negative needs to affect the entire f of x. Now, the limit as h approaches 0 of what? 9 minus x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. Do not be tempted to bring the 2 in. The 2 means what? Write 2 brackets and FOIL out. Then minus 9 plus x squared all over h. This is equal to the limit as h approaches 0. H is still the denominator. Then we have 9 minus x squared minus 2hx minus h squared minus 9 plus x squared. Let's add and subtract whatever can add and subtract out. That and that. -9 and +9. If you get to that step and things don't cancel out, you know immediately that you have made a mistake somewhere. You need to go back and fix or check your steps. The limit as h approaches 0 of what? -2 -2hx minus h squared. I'm going to take out common factor of h. So I'm left with -2x minus h. Now let's cancel. Those two cancel each other out. And then finally, I can say f prime of x is equal to what? Now you drop the limit. When you drop the limit, you don't substitute h to be 0. You just ignore it. Right? Because the correct notation that you don't have to show is actually that h approach 0, but you don't have to do that. So just ignore it, but do not substitute it to be 0. Right, now let's check. We got a -2x when we did it using the power rule, and we got a -2x. So it means that we are correct. How many marks was this? 5 marks. You cannot afford not to get these marks. Very easy stuff. Okay, cool stuff. Now take a screenshot if you want the notes, but they will be made available to you in PDF format. Now let's quickly move on. Now, some more differentiation. All right. How would we deal with these ones? So the only difference is the notation, right? But not with the not with first principles. But there's Euler's notation, there's Leibniz, and there's Newton's method as well, right? Now, or Newton's notation rather, Newton's method is something else. What we need to do here is differentiate, right? Now, if we're going to differentiate that, it needs to be in order. And what order am I talking about? Before you differentiate, the thing that you want to differentiate must be in this order: kx and a power. So a constant, x and a power. So that when you differentiate, you have n times k times x to the n minus 1. Right. That can be very confusing, but think of this. That will be what? The n in our case is what? 7 times what? What is k? K is that 2 that's over there. Then times what? Times x to the what? N is 7 minus 1. So this is what? 14x to the 6. That's the order that we want it to be in. Kxn. Now, can we find this in that order? Or can we write it in that fashion? That should be fine, because that is simply what? 1, right? Multiply by x to the what? To the 0. That's why the derivative of a constant is 0. You'll see now. Plus 6. Root of x is what? It's the same as x to the power of positive a half. Now let's differentiate this. Remember, x to the power of 0 is still 1. So 1 times 1 is still 1. You see that I want it in the form kxn, kxn. So check. This is equal to what? It's going to be equal to 0 plus 3x to the what? Negative a half. Are we all together there? And then you can just say it's equal to 3x to the negative a half. If they want it with positive exponents, this is what? 3x to the power of a half, or insert 3 over root of x. And that is how you would deal with such a question. I hope we're all together there. No questions in the chat. Now, 8.2.2, dy over dx. It's just a different notation. What do we want? Kx to the power of n. So firstly, our y is simply equal to 8 over what? Over 8x to the power of 5 minus 3x to the power of 6 over 8x to the power of 5. So we broke it up. So after breaking it up, let's try to simplify. This is, so 8 and 8 cancel each other out. So this cancels that. So what we have is actually what? X to the, okay, just to put this thing here. It's messing up my flow. Sorry about that. Okay. So what we have is actually 1 over x to the power of 5 minus 3 over 8 with an x on top. Now putting it in order, that'll simply be y is equal to x to the negative 5 because we took it up, and then minus 3 over 8 with an x here. To the power of 1. I don't have to write the 1. Now differentiating, that can be negative 5x to the negative 6 minus 3 over 8x 1 minus 1, right? Or simply just say that is out. Positive exponent, that'll simply be minus 5 over x to the power of 6 minus 3 over 8. And that is how you do that. I think this one is quite easy for everyone. There are no questions in the chat. Everyone looks like they're following. Okay, take a screenshot and then we move on quickly. Okay, now here is something for you guys to attempt. I'll give you 3 minutes to attempt the first one and make sure that you have done first principles, and then we're going to mark it together. I'll actually give you 2 minutes for the sake of time so that we can also move on and attempt 9.2 together. So I'll give you a total of 4 minutes, 2 minutes for each problem, and then we mark quickly. Please do attempt, and then we're going to mark shortly. At 18:56, we mark the first one. Okay, you have a few seconds and then we mark 9.1. Remember that your answer must simply be 6x squared. If you don't get that, you've made a mistake somewhere. Right, cool stuff. Let's quickly mark together. So I know that f prime of x is equal to f of x plus h, the limit as h tends to 0 of what? Of 2x plus h to the power of 3 minus 2x to the power of 3 all over h. I've immediately substituted in. This is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of what? 2 into x squared plus 2hx plus h squared x plus h minus what? 2x to the power of 3 all over h. Now, this is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of what? Of the 2 still outside. Then I have x to the power of 3 plus 2hx squared plus h squared x plus x squared h plus 2h squared x plus h to the power of 3 minus 2x to the power of 3. So all I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get what this guy here is. Remember that is three brackets. You cannot just bring the 3 in. You cannot. The limit as h tends to 0. Now we have to multiply the 2 in. So 2x to the power of 3 plus 4h x squared plus 2. Let me just check. Okay, 1, 2, 3 plus 2h squared x plus 2x squared h plus 4h squared x squared x plus 2h to the power of 3 minus 2x to the power of 3 all over h. It's quite long. Now let's check. The last and the first cancel each other out, or add and subtract each other out. Now, is there anything else that looks the same? Yes. If you look at these two, these two here, those are like terms. They do not cancel, but they can add. So I'm going to say this is the limit as h tends to 0. What? Okay. We still have h down here. Are there any other like terms? So let me just highlight these two so that I can start with them. So if I add those up, I'm going to have what? 6h squared x. Now, these two are also like terms. I don't know if you guys noticed. That's going to be what? Plus 6x squared h. And we're done with these two. And then what? Plus 2h to the power of 3. Now take out a common factor. The limit as h tends to 0, h into 6x with an h, of course. Come on, there we go. Plus 6x squared plus 2h squared. Now let's cancel out. This cancels that. Now can finally say f prime of x is equal to, this is going to approach 0 because there's an h there. It's also going to approach 0 because there's an h. Then what we're left with is 6x squared. And this is what we got when we used the power rule, because this will be 6x squared. And that's what we have. It was a little bit long and tedious, but we did get to the right answer. Okay. Guys, please refrain from writing on the screen. If you continue annotating on the screen, we will remove you from the meeting and you will not be able to come back. Okay, let me zoom in so you guys can see clearly. If you're taking it down, you do not substitute h to be 0. You're not supposed to do that. And this is the other part of the question. Okay, quickly moving on. 9.2, dy over dx. Okay, I'll give you 2 more minutes. Well, I'll give you 2 minutes for this one because you didn't get a chance to attempt it. At 1904, we will quickly mark. Please do attempt 9.2 now. So dy over dx, the derivative of y in terms of x, that's just a question. Okay, thank you so much, Umulima, for your answer. We're going to check now. If you're still attempting, please do attempt. I'll give you a few more seconds. Why are we not supposed to substitute h to be 0? The reason is if you substitute h to be 0, you're actually making this whole thing to become undefined. Right, so if you're saying h is 0, it means that there's no distance between these 2 points. Remember when I started, I even drew the graph for you guys. Right, so it means that you are actually finding what? The gradient of a point. Right, you are making this whole thing undefined because anything divided by 0 is undefined. So f of x plus h minus f of x over 0 is going to be undefined. But they are very close to each other, very, very close. So h is very small, that we can ignore it. Okay, quickly finish up so we can mark. Now, let's quickly check this. What are we going to do? Y is equal to 2x to the power of a half over what? Over x squared plus 1 over x squared. Y is equal to 2x to the half multiplied by x to the minus 2 because now we brought it up. Thank you for the answers that are coming in the chat. And then plus x minus 2. Y is still equal to, we haven't started deriving, 2x to the what? Negative 3 over 2 plus x to the negative 2. Now we can differentiate. So dy over dx is equal to minus 6 over 2, which is what? Minus 3. And then x minus 3 over 2 minus 1 would simply be minus what? Minus 5 over 2. And then minus what? 2x to the minus 3. They want it with positive exponents. We can say what? Negative 3 over x to the 5 over 2 minus 2 over x to the 3. If they say leave your answer with positive exponents. Can quickly take a screenshot if you didn't arrive at the same answer as us, and then we quickly move on. You can definitely leave it in negative exponents until they tell you to leave it with positive exponents. The coefficient does not have a negative exponent. The coefficient is just negative 3, and we left it as negative 3. In fact, the exponent of that coefficient is a positive 1. There's a positive 1 here. There's a positive 1 there. Hope we're all together there. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to be dealing with these kinds of questions. The graph of f of x is equal to x to the power of 3 minus 4x squared minus 11x plus 30 is sketched below. A and B are turning points of f. The first question, determine the coordinates of A and B. Right? How do we deal with such a question? How do we determine the coordinates? We must find the derivative. Right? After finding the first derivative, we must equate that derivative to what? To 0. Why are we doing that? The reason for that is at that point there, the graph is neither going up nor is it going down. It's stationary there. It's not moving. Okay. Even at B. That is why we can take the what? The derivative and equate it to 0. Okay, let's just minimize this a little bit. All right. Now, the first derivative, there's a reason why we did derivatives. So f prime of x is equal to how much? 3x squared minus 8x minus 11. But what? F prime of x is equal to 0. So 0 is equal to 3x squared minus 8x minus 11. Then it's just a matter of factorizing. I'm going to rely on you guys to help with the factors because you guys have calculators in front of you. If there's a factorizing genius, you can also help with your answers. Otherwise, rely on the quadratic formula. I actually think I can factorize this. I'm going to try. If I put a 3 and an x there, maybe that's going to work. And then 11 is only 1 and 11. So if I say 11 there and a 1 here, and negative, if I said positive and negative, does that work? Let's check. No, that doesn't work. Let's try something else. In the exam, I promise you don't have time to do what I'm doing. I'm then going to try negative 11 and then a positive 1. Let's check if that works. Yes. Not an x, but a 1. There we go. That one works. So it means that x is equal to 11 over 3, or x is equal to negative 1. Okay, thank you so much for the answers that are coming in the chat. Just to acknowledge some of you guys, Toleswa, Clara, Fortune, Paul, thank you so much for your answers. You guys have been amazing so far. Just for the sake of time, I cannot acknowledge everyone, but thank you so much for your answers. Now, we know that A is then going to take what? It's going to assume the negative 1, and then B is going to be the 11 over 3. Now, to find the corresponding okay, I think somebody's correcting me. X is 1. Let's double check. If I'm making a mistake, please do correct me, guys. No, x is not 1. X is definitely negative 1. I'm pretty sure you have made a mistake on your side, but if more people are agreeing that x is negative 1, please do correct me. All right, x is negative 1, so we are fine. But let me just check on your side. You might have made a mistake. Okay, then what we need to do is we need to substitute to find the corresponding a value. We need to find f of what? F of negative 1. And if you try to find f of negative 1, that should give you how much on your calculator? Please help with that answer. While somebody's doing negative 1, somebody else please find f of 11 over 3. Okay, so this one gives us 36. It means that we have negative 1 and 36. Thank you so much for that, Ryan. Okay, Siyabonga gave the answer as well. Negative 400 over 27. Perfect. So it means that the negative 400 over 27 belongs here. Okay. Any questions there? That should be fairly easy for all of us. Okay. I like using fractions because fractions are more accurate than decimals. So with decimals, we have converted to 2 decimal places. You will not get penalized, but I prefer fractions. Okay. Now, determine the x-coordinate of the point of inflection of f. What is the point of inflection, right? I refer to the point of inflection as the middlemost part of the graph. Okay. I'm only starting with 8.1.2 now, so I cannot repeat 8.1.2. I've only started with it now. Okay, thank you so much, Mateo. It's the midpoint between the turning points. Yes, it's the middlemost part of the graph, right? Because it is going to negative infinity and positive infinity. All right. Now, we have to use the second derivative for that. So how do we find the second derivative? We say f prime prime of x, this must be equal to what? 6x minus 8. But it's also equal to 0. Then we can say 0 is equal to 6x minus 8, and then x is equal to, if we take the 8 over to the other side and divide by 6, 4 over 3. And then just like that, we are done. We don't have to find the y value, as the question did say, determine the x coordinate. And we have solved for x. Hope everyone is with me there. If you want to take a screenshot, please do so. Okay, now moving on. Okay. Now, determine the equation of the tangent to f in the form y is equal to mx plus c, right? Please do not leave this question out. Okay, let's just try to move it up. Okay, so we need to remember something, right? They said to the tangent at x is equal to 2. Now, what we want to do is, since they give us only the x value, we want to find the corresponding y value. Okay, questions in the chat. Yes, you definitely can say it's equal to 0 before deriving. You can use midpoint as well, but since this is calculus, you want to use calculus, right? Calculus methods, derivatives. So stick to that. It is the same. It's going to give you the same thing, but I would say to you, please use calculus. Use derivatives, the second derivative. They want to test you on that because I think the first mark, that I never mark sheet with me, says if prime prime, that's where you get a mark, being equal to 0. So rather use that. I will definitely check if they do award marks for the midpoint, although it will give you the same answer. I just want to check if that is allowed. Okay, so coming back to this one, the equation of the tangent at x is equal to 2. So what we want to do is we want to substitute this 2 in. So let's find f of positive 2. How much does that give us? So f of 2 gives you, on your calculator, please check. It's 0. Okay, perfect. Thank you. If you're getting a different answer from 0, please do talk to us so we can see how we can help you. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have 2 and 0. All right, we have a coordinate. What do we need? Whenever we find the equation of a straight line, we need 2 coordinates, or we need a set of coordinates and what? And a gradient. Now, it will be highly impossible for us to find that second coordinate, so we're going to find the gradient. Right. So what we're going to do is we know that the gradient is what? The general gradient f prime of x is equal to 3x squared minus 8x minus 11. But we want f prime of 2. We want the gradient at the point 2. Anybody with an answer? Okay, we're getting negative 15. So the gradient equals to negative 15. And we have a point. What are we going to use? So let me do this so that you guys don't get confused. Okay. So I'm then going to say y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1, or y is equal to mx plus c, whichever one you're comfortable with. Y minus 0 is equal to m being negative 15, x minus 2. Y is equal to negative 15x plus 30. And that is the equation. Please ask your questions now. Yeah, I don't like to use y is equal to mx plus c because I have to find the c value first and then have to come back and plug it in. But if you're comfortable with that, that's perfectly fine. Don't change now. Remember what we've been saying? If you say repeat the question, we will not. Which part of the question do you not understand? Do not wait for me to finish the question only for you to say you don't understand. I keep saying, please interrupt me or ask your question at that step that you're lost at. Toazisi, you want us to use midpoint for what? Where do you want us to use the midpoint? Okay, looks like everyone is covered. Please take a screenshot, and then we move on to the next question. Okay, I have no idea how you can use the, I'm not saying it won't work. I just can't see it at this moment, how you can use the midpoint to find that tangent. If you can use midpoint and get to the same answer as me, that's perfect. Remember, sometimes there are multiple solutions to a single problem. But the solutions that I give you guys, the ones that I do on the screen, definitely you will get full marks for. And I'm not saying midpoint is not going to give you the marks. I just need to check before I say, yes, you can use midpoint, or no, you can't use midpoint. I just don't see how that will work now, because I don't know the midpoint of what and what. Okay, moving on. I'm going to try to zoom out. 8.1.4, please do not leave this question out. You definitely will be able to solve such a problem. Determine the value or values of k for which x to the power of 3, well, the very same graph that they gave us, right? For which f of x minus k is equal to 0 will have only one real root. What do they even mean? Please pay extra attention now. Forget about everything else that you're doing and concentrate here. Now, the graph is going up here, there, and it's also coming down this side. Now, I'm going to start down here. I'm going to draw an imaginary line parallel to the x-axis, passing through the turning point. Remember, it's parallel to the x-axis, passing through, it's a tangent at the turning point. It touches that turning point only once there. So what I'm trying to say is that it touches the graph twice, here and there. All right. Now, the very same line, if I bring it down by maybe 0.0001 of a unit, I'm going to have it somewhere here. It's no longer going to touch the turning point. I need you guys to understand that part. So if it's just under the turning point, it's only going to touch the graph way once at that point. I'm going to do the same thing up there. Imagine this line here. Let me just change my color. Passing through point A parallel to the x-axis. How many times are we touching? Once and twice. If we move it up just a little bit, such that it doesn't touch the turning point anymore, now still parallel to the x-axis, you'll see that it touches the graph only once at that point. And that is just above the turning point. And that's what they're looking for. One real root. So what are we doing first? Let's take it over to the other side. What do we know about this? This is f of x, remember? Right? So we'll say x to the power of 3 minus 4x squared minus 11x plus 30 is equal to k. Right? Now, it means that f of x is equal to k because this is f of x. Now, we can simply answer by saying k must be what? Must be greater than what? Than 36, or k must be less than negative 400 over 27. Let's discuss those. If k is greater than 36, it means that we are on top of the turning point. If k is less than negative 400 over 2 over 27, it means that we are under that turning point. And that's where we touch the graph once. So once there, and then never again. Or if it's on top there, we touch it once at this point and never again. And that is how you answer it. Do not try to solve for k there. You will not be able to solve it. Okay. The 36 is our turning point. This turning point here. Negative 1 and 36. Those are the coordinates of A. What are we trying to do? I'll walk you through this question. We're trying to see where our line is going to touch this graph only once. Which line? A line that is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, let me actually do this. Maybe let me explain it this way. I want to do this. Let's say maybe this is 1 and 4, and then this one is 2 and negative 2. Why not? Something like that. And we have a graph like this, right? I'm just making this thing up. I'm hoping that it actually does work. Okay, let's put that IV. Now, how many times, right? So if I'm going to draw a red line. How many times is the red line touching our graph? 3 times. Once, twice, and then the third time. Okay? Now, let's remove that. Oh, Now, we're going to draw it passing through the turning point. How many times is it now touching the graph? Once at the turning point, and then again there. That's 2 times. Now, above the turning point. So go above. How many times are you going to touch? Here. Once. We're going to do the same thing down here. So at the turning point, we'll touch it twice because it's once there and another time there. So that'll be twice. But below that, we're going to be somewhere here. And how many times are we touching it? Only once. Now, what they're saying is, where are we touching the graph? Only once, right? When you are above the turning point or below the turning point. Above means what? Greater. Below means less than. And this is general. I hope we're all together there. Okay, now coming back. Where are we touching the graph? Twice at the turning point. Once and twice. But above the turning point, just like I said here, above the turning point, we'll touch it once. Below the turning point, we'll touch it once. In between the turning points, so let's write it here. Okay? Case 1, case 2, and then case 3. Between them. So on, or let me just say passing through the turning point. See, I'm making a mistake. This is 3. This is 3. If you've noted it, thank you so much. There we go. This is general. So this is very important. Maybe take a screenshot of that, because we're going to use this to answer the question that they gave us. What is it that they want? To have only one root. What does one root mean? Touch once. Which case is that? Is it case 1, 2, or 3? It's case 1, because this is once. Hope it makes sense to everyone now. Right. So make sure that you have a screenshot of that, because coming back, explaining it once more, we want to touch the graph only once. It has to be on top of that turning point and under the lower turning point or the minimum turning point. Right. Now, there was another question which felt like was a brilliant question here. Cassandra, how can you identify that K is X or Y? Brilliant question. What did they say? The values of K, right? But what we're saying is we took the K over to the other side. If we take K over to the other side, we're left with this. And what is this? As per the equation that they gave us, they said it's f of x. So f of x is equal to k. What is f of x? F of x is y, remember. It's a function in terms of x. Hope we're all together there. Okay, let's go back to these notes here so that you guys can take them down. Please take a screenshot now so we can move on to other problems. Okay, cool. Guess we can move on now. Right. Now here's a question. The sketch below shows the graph of g of x is equal to x to the power of 3 minus 6x minus 1. P and Q are the turning points and R the y-intercept of G. Now, determine the coordinate, or the coordinates of R, rather. I'm going to let you guys attempt this one quickly. Just 1 minute should be enough for you to attempt this problem. Determine the coordinates of R. If you have them, please do type them in the chat quickly. Okay, perfect. We are getting 0 and -1. That's quite easy. You cannot afford not to get that question right. Why? Because that is the y-intercept of the graph. You simply make x 0, and then you'll see that you are getting -1. So R has coordinates. Let's go. There we go. R has coordinates. Oh, come on. There we go. -1. Easy 2 marks. Now, the next question, calculate the values of x for which g strictly increases as x decreases. Let's move it up here. I'm gonna just make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so the values of x for which g strictly increases, right? Now, think of straight lines. When you have straight lines, this straight line is increasing because we read from left to right. And as we go from left to right, the straight line is going up, right? So it's increasing. Now, this straight line here, as we read from left to right, it is going down, so it is decreasing. So this is increasing and this is decreasing. Okay, now we want to see where G increases. I'm going to use a highlighter. We read from left to right, so this is increasing. This here is also increasing. Because as we read from left to right, you'll see that the graph is going up. Now, what values of x are those? So x is what? Is an element from -infinity going all the way to what? To p of x. I'll simply say p of x. I think I mistakenly cut out 14.2, which wanted us to find. Just say p of x and p of y. Those are the coordinates that we're using. It wanted us to calculate those coordinates. Q of x and Q of y. All right. And then we're going to say, or x is an element from what? Q of x. There we go. To positive infinity. Jawulile, that's a brilliant question. They are definitely not the same thing because concave up and concave down, right? We need to stop at the point of inflection. And I'm going to explain those just now. Okay, Siyabonga, let me just check your answer. X is less than P of X, that's perfect, and X is greater. Remember, don't say and, say or X is greater than Q of X. That's perfectly fine, Siyabonga. Can definitely say that, you'll get all the marks. Okay. Okay, now let's check 14.4. If h of x is equal to g prime of x, determine for which values of x is h of x less than 0. All right. So what they're trying to say there is, right, where is the graph decreasing, in other words? Right, where's the graph decreasing? It's decreasing between, so x is between what? That's where the graph is decreasing. Okay, what is the difference between or and and? So and is inclusive. We are definite of two solutions, right? Now with or is because you have options. It's either the first option works. If the first option doesn't work, then we use the other option. Where and is inclusive. So you're saying two things must be the case for this to be perfectly fine. Okay, so they said equal to. Thank you so much for the question, Sanele. It's perfect because we have an equal to there. I also have to include. Okay, good stuff. Now, quickly moving on, let me quickly explain the concept of concavity. Right. Now, looking at a graph like that, so concavity always stops at the point of inflection, P-O-I, point of inflection. Okay, the middlemost part. What I say is look at the part on the left-hand side. Okay, let me highlight. The part highlighted in green, that is a cave. And then the part highlighted in pink will also be a different cave. Now, it's a cave and you want to look outside of this cave. Let's look at the green part. You want to look outside of the cave. Where are you going to look? You're going to look way down like that. Are we together there? Because you're looking down, this will be what? Concave down. Now this is a cave, you're looking up. So this is what? Concave way, concave up. Now, let's say this point of inflection, the x value of that point of inflection was maybe -5. And then, okay, I'll say this was 10. Why not? Now, for which values of x is the graph concave down? We'll say x is an element from where? -infinity going all the way to -5. You don't include the -5. Where is it concave up? X is an element from where? From -5 going all the way to +infinity. And that's how concavity works. I'm hoping we're all together there. Now, concavity, right? The green part is concave down because if you are stuck in that cave, there's no way you can go up. Think of yourself there. You want to get out of this cave, where can you go? You can go down because there's no barrier down there. That's why it's concave down. If you're in this pink cave, you cannot go down, you can go up because there's no barrier. That's why this part is concave up. Now the green part starts where? Starts at -infinity, hence this part, and stops where? Stops at -5. That's concave down. The pink part, where does it start? It starts at -5, and where does it end? At +infinity. That's concave up. There's another question here. Yeah. Maladelo, yes, it's 2 marks just by giving this answer here. Okay. Now quickly moving on. I've literally just done 14.4. This is recorded. You just have to go back and look, watch the recording again. There's still more questions that I would like us to do, and we are running out of time. We have 12 minutes left, and I want us to do this problem here. If we have time, we'll come back to some of the questions that you guys asked, but I doubt we will. Right. Remember, guys, you can also book some tuition. Right. Remember, we are a tutoring company after all. And if you'd like some lessons, you are more than welcome to book. Go to our website. I'm pretty sure you'll find our numbers there, but those services will be charged, right? Because that's where you're going to find one of our amazing tutors. It's a smaller group of 3 learners and 1 tutor, and your specific needs will be attended to. Okay, so all the questions, the rates and everything, please go to our website and then get the numbers there. But I also ask the numbers to be posted in the chat of the person that you need to talk to. But this will be a paid service, unlike this one here. So this is for the people who have specific questions and are willing to spend some money on our awesome tutors. Okay, moving on. Cassandra, absolutely, you can write it like that. Okay, now looking at applications of calculus. Now, ABCD is a square with sides 20 millimeters each. PQRS is a rectangle that fits inside the square. Okay, that's perfect. Such that QB is equal to BR, which is equal to DS, and it's also equal to DP, which is equal to K millimeters. Now, prove that the area of PQRS is given by -2K into K minus 20, or it's equal to 40K minus 2K squared. Okay. to let you guys attempt that, and then we're going to do it together. I'll give you guys 2 minutes for that, for the ones who want to attempt it quickly. But do not despair. If you are stuck, I will still do it for you. Prove that the area of what PQR is, so the rectangle. Okay, for the sake of time, let's quickly look at this together. If you're still busy with it, just follow the rest of my steps. What is it that we know? QB, that's K. K. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. K and K. So it means that I can say these things are equal to each other. So if I have a K there, I'm going to have another K here. A K there and a K there. Now, what did they say? They said it's a rectangle that fits inside what? A square, meaning that this is right angled. It's a square after all. So I can find QR. So QR is equal to the square root of what? K squared plus K squared, which is what? 2K squared under square root, not plus or minus because we are working with a length, right? So it'll always be positive. So this will be, can simplify it to root 2 multiplied by K. Okay, if that's the case, I have QR, so 2 multiplied by K, and then root 2 multiplied by KB. Now, what would SC be? Remember that DC is how much? 20 millimeters. So this will be 20 minus K. This will also be 20 minus K. Now let's find what SR is going to be using Pythag. So SR is equal to 20 minus K all squared plus 20 minus K all squared. So this is, of course, under square root. Now this is going to be 2 into 20 minus K squared all under square root. I just added these two up, so it gives me 2 of the same thing. Okay, so this is, of course, like that. Now this is going to be root 2 multiplied by 20 minus k, no longer squared because the square root doubled that. I used theorem of Pythagoras. Yes, Cassandra. Now prove that the area of that rectangle is that. So what do? We just multiply. So area of PQRS is equal to length times breadth, which is equal to what? SR times what? Times QR. SR gave us root 2 multiplied by 20 minus K multiplied by how much? OR, we found it to be root 2 multiplied by K outside. Then it's just a matter of multiplying. So root 2 multiplied by root 2, that'll give you 2 with a K into what? Into 20 minus K. If you multiply it in, you'll see that it gives us what they asked for, which is 40k minus 2k squared. Hope everyone is with me there. It's easy as that. Now the next question. Determine the value of k for which the area of PQRS is a maximum, right? The reason we always take the derivative to be 0 is because we are thinking of this as a cubic graph which has turning point, either maximum turning point or a minimum turning point. Even if they said minimum, would still take it to become 0. Now, remember that area is equal to what? Minus 2k squared plus 40k. That's the area. Now, what I want is what? The derivative, a prime. So a prime in terms of k is equal to what? Is equal to 0 for maximum. Now I can say 0 is equal to what? Negative 4k plus 40. And let's solve. 4k is equal to 40, and then k is equal to 10. No questions there. I think everyone is with me. Okay, there's a thumbs up in the chat. It's that you guys are understanding. Okay, the time is almost 8 o'clock. Well, it just hit 8 o'clock now, and I think we can call it a day there. Remember that these notes will be made available to you guys on the WhatsApp channel. I'm seeing that there's a message that is posted, so click on the link to join the WhatsApp channel where you will get these notes in PDF form. Also remember, guys, please give us a 5-star rating on Google. This will help us to come back and give you these in preparation for your final exams. Those 5 stars really help us to keep going and to give you these free of charge. If you feel like it was not worth 5 stars, tomorrow we will be doing physical sciences. Make sure that you join that lesson because we definitely will make it up to you. But if you're happy, please go ahead and give us that 5-star rating. Not only a 5-star, we would appreciate it if you wrote something. Say something about the lesson. I've seen that some of you guys are taking screenshots of the lesson and are posting it, showing that the lesson was great. If you can say something, great stuff. We'd really, really appreciate you to we really appreciate it if you said something about the lesson. Also, remember to like and follow. Go to our TikTok, our Instagram, and our YouTube. Please do subscribe to our channel. We will be posting most of these things on our YouTube. So you guys being subscribers, this really helps us to keep giving you guys more of this kind of content. And like I said, if you'd like some personal tutoring, of course, those ones are charged. You are more than welcome to get the numbers on our website and be in contact with our admin personnel, and they will definitely set you up with one of our awesome tutors. And if you'd like, I can also be your tutor as well. All right. Other than that, I think we can all end here for today. And I will see you guys, I think, next week for more sessions. You guys have been great this evening, and let's call it a night here so that you guys can go and rest and study for other subjects as well.